You're gonna need a bigger boat. So serious.
I am Iron Man.
This is a tasty burger.
Welcome to the In Session Film Podcast.
Welcome to this podcast review for May 13th, 2025, and I'm JD Duran.
And I'm Brendan Cassidy.
Hey, thanks for joining us, everybody. Brendan, are you fight or are you flight?
Well, this movie made me both.
It made you fight and flight, huh?
This movie made me at war with myself and with the movie.
Yeah, I think that's very fair.
Honestly, yeah, now that you ask that, I am realizing just how appropriate the film's title actually is, given my experience with it.
You might enter the film with some sort of fight spirit, some sort of fighting spirit, but halfway through you might be flighting for the exit.
Or I was actually thinking about it the other way around, but I think your analogy makes even more sense. I was thinking, I'm flying along with it. I'm going with it. Now I'm fighting against it.
Fighting your way to the exit. Yeah, it works both ways. Yeah.
Either way, I think we just revealed how we feel about this movie.
Yeah, perhaps. But look, I don't think anyone walked into Fight or Flight expecting that it was going to win Oscars at the end of the year. I think we all know what we're getting into.
This is not Mad Max Fury Road as far as modern action films are concerned.
No, not at all. I think we all had fair reservations with Fight or Flight. We know what we're walking into. Josh Hartnett on some sort of Airbus.
Yeah, this
flying overseas and getting into it with other assassins. That's the premise.
This is more this is more Bullet Train than anything else.
Yeah, and that's been a comparison in a lot of reviews. It's like John Wick married to Bullet Train. That's how it's mostly been talked about.
Yeah. That pairing sounds more interesting than the movie.
Very fair. That is very fair. All right. Well, I don't know if there's any other pretext we need to lay out here. It's Josh Hartnett again in this new era that we're completely and wholly fascinated by. The film is directed by James Madigan. I believe this is a directorial debut for Madigan, if I'm not mistaken.
He was primarily a visual effects artist before making his way into directing with this movie here. And we've seen that before. We've seen a few people that worked in, let's say, a particular craft, then going on to, let's say, try their hand at directing. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't.
He did do some second unit directing on Transformers Rise of the Beast. So
interesting.
He has
a film I have not seen yet.
It's okay.
That's what I've heard.
I liked it. I have my Transformers biases. I like it. It's okay.
But you love Transformers, but you also loved Beast Wars in connection with growing up, right? And so it's like that was like your childhood on screen, in a way.
If you watched Beast Wars as a child, like I did, then Rise of the Beast is a nostalgic fun fest for sure. And I enjoyed myself in that regard, even if the film is simultaneously underwhelming. There could have been more beasts, is what I'm saying.
But more Beast Wars, less people. That's what we say about these Transformers movies all the time.
He was also second unit director on The Meg, I believe. So, that's his background. I guess appropriate for a film like Fight or Flight.
Honestly, yeah, I feel like you've just laid out a few films that feel like a direct and appropriate lead into something like this in a way. Yeah. They don't feel out of place. We'll simply say that.
Yep. Okay, well, I guess let's get into this. Fight or Flight, as we noted, is directed by James Madigan. It stars our boy Josh Hartnett, as well as Charithra Chandran, Katie Sackhoff, Julian Kostoff, and a bunch of others that come and go. There is a slew of assassins that show up in this film. If you are not familiar with Fight or Flight, a mercenary takes on the job of tracking down a target on a plane, but must protect her when they're surrounded by people trying to kill both of them. Okay. let's get into this. Brendan,
Mm-hmm.
what say you? Fight or flight?
Well, as we talked about, both, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And I feel like our analogy, even though we played that analogy two different ways in the intro, they both suggested that we liked the first half more than the second half. I feel like that was pretty obvious, right? And I believe you're in the same camp, just given the way that conversation was going. I was mostly with this for the first half. Josh Hartnett makes it very watchable. And it's not just him. I actually think most of the cast here is pretty effective. I thought they were all pretty funny to some degree or another. I think Katie Sackhoff is really good. Julian Kostoff is really good. And even the banter between Josh Hartnett and Sharith Rachandran I thought was pretty good too. So I was at least with the movie. I was invested enough to see where it was going to go. And I thought it was fun. I thought it was fairly fun. But then the back half, it's like the movie decides we need to be about something, don't we? And I was sitting there thinking, no, you don't. You don't. You have a gimmick. You can run with it. You don't need to take yourself too seriously and get into some message-laden territory. But it kind of does that, and it really starts to overstay its welcome to the point that what was initially amusing to me started to become more annoying than anything else. And I lost my way by the time we got to the midpoint, unfortunately. So this didn't really work for me at all. Well, I mean, I say at all, it's just more so in totality, the film doesn't work at all. But there was a potential there for it to at least be diverting and fun for the most part. The cards were there. It doesn't stick the landing, and the movie as a whole suffers because of it, I think.
Yeah. Sometimes we are accused of having the same brain. And I did not know how Brendan felt about this film coming into this conversation. But him and I, he might as well have been reading from my notes.
I love when this happens.
Echo almost verbatim everything that Brendan had to say there. I was going to come on to this review, come into this conversation, and the first thing I wanted to say, as absurd as this might be, because this is a film that is utterly ridiculous. It is wholly silly. This is a movie that shoves dead guys into tight spaces in the bathroom. It punches wine glasses into assassins' eyes. It drops kicks mercenaries out of airplanes at 30,000 feet. And I think this film needed to commit to more of that.
I
don't think it does enough. I don't think it does enough.
You didn't even mention the fact that there's a chainsaw fight in this movie.
There's a chainsaw fight. Yeah. It is wholly absurd. This film is so dumb. It is so asinine. And I think it needed to be more dumb and more asinine. I completely agree with you. This is a film that, for whatever reason, feels the need to cheapen itself with these moments of sentimentality. The film does not care about that sentimentality at all.
Yeah.
But, and this is where I do think the John Wick comparisons do come into play.
Yeah.
Because Hartnett's character here of Lucas, there is a redemptive arc that he is seeking. It's not verbatim the same as John Wick, but spiritually it is close enough, where he's wanting to seek some sort of redemption, has to take out a bunch of bad guys along the way, and by the end of the film, he has completely reinvented himself. Why? This film does not call for that, and it just does not work here. When the film is simply goofy digital blood spraying everywhere, then it's diverting.
It's kind of fun.
That's when it's
the
really
energy
leaning
is
into
good.
its best qualities.
Yeah.
Because this film just doesn't care about anything else. But it has to shoehorn in these moments of sentimentality, or we got, like, Isha has to preach about why she's doing what she's doing.
Oh my gosh.
Like, get out of here with that. Get out of here.
We have to be careful because we don't disagree with this movie's overall message on
of course not.
slave labor and child labor, but what is it doing in this movie?
You're a psycho, okay?
Yeah, what is it doing in this movie, though? That's the big
exactly.
question.
It's just like, you don't have to give me more for me to empathize with these characters. The performances sell it enough. And also, who cares? Like, we just want to see them fight off these assassins in a plane at 30,000 feet. Get creative with that. And the film does get, admittedly, creative and intuitive at times. Again, as absurd and asinine as it is. But that, again, that's when the film is at its best. You don't have to pretend to be a movie. Forget the movie. Just be the action.
I ended up giving this a 2 out of 5 on Letterboxd, which makes it sound like I probably, given what I'm about to say here, it makes it sound like I might like this movie less than what I'm about to say, because I actually do think the first half is fairly solid. I genuinely think it is. Even though much of the action here is ripped straight from the Kingsman church scene playbook, the Matthew Vaughn playbook.
Yeah,
it's certainly...
I was watching this thinking that you were going to absolutely loathe it. I thought of Kingsman quite a lot, actually.
That sequence in Kingsman, I think, has kind of ruined action filmmaking ever since, because so many films are trying to replicate it and they just don't succeed. Yeah. And I don't think
this is straight, to your point, straight out of that playbook. I wholeheartedly agree.
And I don't think the action here is all that inventive or even necessarily all that well choreographed. It's fine for what it is. What sells it is the banter and the performances themselves. Josh Hartnett especially. He's committed and he's a lot of fun to watch. Yeah. But there are bits between other characters here that I did find very amusing. I think that whole intro setting up this entire situation before Josh Hartnett is even introduced, where you have Katie Sackhoff and Julian Kostov in this, what looks like essentially their version of Langley in a way, trying to orchestrate what's happening. There are some really funny bits of humor there, such as the new hire that they have sitting in the corner that's actually the one that knows how to solve everything right away. Little things like that I found genuinely humorous. I just, to your point, I wish the movie committed more to that absurdity and not feel the need to justify any type of redemptive arc for Josh Hartnett's character. You don't need it. He's clearly having a lot of fun, and that is enough. It's a movie that feels as if it's trying to ride on the ongoing success of Josh Hartnett by giving him more to chew on, because a movie like Trap sort of gave those nuances. But M. Night Shyamalan's a gifted enough filmmaker to pull those things together in an interesting way. James Madigan is not that person, at least not yet. He is.
No, and Trap and M. Night, there's always going to be some sort of narrative, pun intended, trapping going on in his films, because there's always something underneath that's driving those mechanical functions. Yeah. And, for better or worse, sometimes it's not great. But a lot of the time, especially lately, I think it's been quite great. And early on in his career is really quite great. And that worked out fantastically for Hartnett, who was the perfect partner for an M. Night Shyamalan movie. He was fantastic in that film. And he is really good here, admittedly. He's really the only reason that those quote-unquote grounded elements to the character have any sort of resonance whatsoever, especially in the first half of the film, to your point. It is his performance. He's able to make that work. But the film on the whole doesn't really give any attention to that in a real and meaningful way. Not like something like the Mission Impossible franchise, for example, that tries to balance out pathos and character with its chaotic action as well. And obviously that is a franchise that is fundamentally a high octane action franchise. But there's also a lot more going on with those characters that we do feel for. And that's the brilliance of that franchise. This is a film that sort of wants to do that, but it doesn't give it enough attention. It just wants to get to the next action beat. Like, it doesn't really care in
it almost feels
grounded qualities. It just shoehorns them in lazily.
Yeah, it feels like it thinks it's obligated to go that route.
Exactly, because we're making a movie, guys. We can't just have action from the first second to the last second, even though, if I'm not mistaken, the cinematographer here is the same guy that did the Raid movie. Like,
That's kind of a shock. I did not know that.
I'm fairly certain it was. And the Raid is literally nonstop action from the first second to the last second.
It is. Yeah. So there's a lot of irony there. There's even a lot more irony in the fact that this movie is being compared a lot to Bullet Train, which admittedly is a movie I didn't really care for that much. But that movie at least maintained its diverting quality throughout.
Yeah, it didn't try to go for sentimentality.
It knew what worked and tried to stick with it. I don't think that film was necessarily good at doing that, but Fight or Flight needed more of that energy, more of that same ethos. It absolutely
I agree. I agree. Like a great example, I love that you brought up that moment with Sackhoff and I'm sure the character has a name. I'm not sure what it is, but
it doesn't matter.
The new guy.
Aaron Hunt. The new guy. Okay, yeah.
The new guy, not Aaron Hunter.
Okay.
Aaron is a stock character that means nothing to this film as well.
Maybe it's Agent Paul Simmons, played by Willem Vanderget. Is that maybe who it is?
Perhaps.
Maybe. Yeah, okay. We'll assume yes.
We'll just call him new guy because he's introduced to us as the new guy in the room, but he's really smart and has some fun banter with Sackhoff early on that is fantastic. Like, again, as absurd and crazy as this film is, I think it needed to commit to more of that kind of stuff.
I agree.
Like the dramatic standoff between Catherine and Aaron, waste of time. Don't care. And this film also doesn't care. It just lazily throws it in because, to your point, it feels obligated. We're making a movie, guys.
Well,
we got to have some sort of dramatic conflict, don't we? No, you don't.
It just goes to show the wasted potential, at least what we feel is wasted potential. There are sprinkles of great moments here, like all the ones we're talking about. There's even some moments between the two pilots on the plane talking about the situation. That's kind of funny, I thought.
I don't necessarily disagree, but also what was the point? That's what I mean about this film having absolutely no focus whatsoever, because those pilots have conversations a couple of different times and it leads to absolutely nothing. In the end, they're as disposable as all of the assassins that are killed off in this film.
They are basically the two blobs from Inside Out that talk about, hey, it says my hat. No, it says my hat. Like that's basically them, but with actual subtext to their conversations, talking about how this experience might get them like book deals like Sully
Like,
did.
what's the point? Like the way it all crystallizes, fine.
Sure.
I'm okay with that because, again, they're disposable like all the other assassins who we don't know their names. We don't know where they come from. There's no context to them. So when they die off, they're just normal baddies that Lucas can take care of. The pilots are the same, but why did they get like 4 scenes of dialogue? Like, it just makes no sense.
2 would have been enough.
It's
2
the
would have been enough.
obligatory, we have to expand this out to 90 minutes. That's what it feels like. And so the script is like, well, let's just shoehorn in this dialogue. That gives us about 2 minutes. We'll come back to those guys. Here's another 2 minutes. Maybe a third time. We'll come back to them for another 3 minutes. That's that's 10 minutes. So we're now padding this out. We're almost to 90 minutes. It's like, stop.
We need to fill in
doing too much.
Fill in the slots. Yeah. All leading up to
like you might walk into this film thinking, oh, you can turn your brain off and just watch this. And that is partially correct. But the irony of that is this is a film that is overthinking it. Like, it is way overthinking
itself. You're absolutely right. It is trying to do too much. There's even a majorly hallucinatory high sequence, we'll simply say.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, on paper, I liked, and even on in a vacuum, I kind of liked it. But it's another example of the film as a whole just doing too much.
Well, see, like that's where I kind of wish the film leaned into that more.
Sure,
because
it ends up feeling like it's doing too much when it comes at the cost of all these other things compounding over top of that.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, I don't think the film needed to explain anything. Lucas and Isha, you don't have to have some sort of mystery that Lucas has to resolve. They're partners. They're stuck in Budapest. They got to get from A to Z, and they run into these assassins. Enough.
Yeah.
That is enough. That this film didn't need to do more than that. And for whatever reason, it convolutes itself way more than it needed to.
Yep.
No, that's it.
I have not much more to say.
But that's about the hallucinatory sequence that I did like, because it's just this really asinine, vacuous moment that is silly. Like, it is so goofy. It's like, okay, more of that, more chainsaws.
Sure.
Maybe ninjas show up for some reason.
I mean, they kind of do. In a weird way.
And like, also, how big is this goddamn plane? Like, it's the size of a freaking hotel.
I thought it was like 3 floors or something like that.
Like,
it's a mega plane.
I mean, I've never traveled overseas like that. Maybe there are planes with 4 stories. I don't know. I've never seen them here in South Florida. And I see planes overhead all the time. There's an airport literally 20 minutes away. So commercial jets just stream all day, every day. All day, every day. I've never seen one like that.
Surprised your microphone doesn't pick up on them.
If I walked outside, it absolutely would.
Well, maybe
they're right above all day.
Maybe we should start podcasting outside. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, here in South Florida, it's always nice. We do it by the pool.
Oh, okay. I'm coming over. I'm coming over.
Come on down.
We look at us trying to find new things to talk about, because we've clearly exhausted our efforts talking about fight or flight.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, I did my best. I tried to have an actual conversation because, there's not much to talk about here. I didn't really like the film all that much. I think it overplays its hand.
I'm with
you.
Like
that scene at the end, like, thank God it was the end, because I wanted to walk out at that point. That moment between Lucas and Isha where they're having that sentimental moment, like, get out of here.
Oh, and of course,
out of here.
Of course, the movie has to set up a sequel.
Yeah, of course. I just hope with the sequel, less plot, more just goofiness. More goofiness.
Please.
But we'll see. I don't know if this film, it is made $2 million so far. Is that correct? I think that's what I'm reading here.
Something like that. I don't know if those are just the domestic numbers. But did
I'd
this
have to look it up.
Yeah, I don't even know if it released internationally. I honestly don't even know.
And I don't know what its budget is either.
Yeah.
So we
apparently a reported budget of $40 million.
All of that must have went to the digital blood, because goddamn.
That's a lot of digital blood then.
I mean, I don't know where that money is. It's not on the screen. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Wow. I do like, usually I throw out these adjectives as criticisms. This film is extremely obtuse, and I think it needed to be more moronic. I think it needed to be more dim-witted.
Obtusier.
Yes. Like, lean into that. That's
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Yeah. At any rate, maybe you enjoyed it more than us. If you agree or disagree with anything we had to say, leave a comment below. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, hit us up social media to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky. You can always email us incessionfilm@gmail.com. Maybe we're being too hard on it. I don't know. Maybe you liked it. I would love to hear from you.
I don't know. We did just get done talking about a movie like On Becoming a Guinea Fowl, so I think we're just
that could be part of it too.
We're in very analytical mode right now.
We are. I mean, when you talk about a movie like that, it's so rich and incredible, and then you go to this, jarring. It is whiplash. It is critical whiplash.
At least for those listening, can't criticize us for saying or thinking that we don't know how to have fun when we're here asking for this movie to be stupider.
I'm asking. Yes, exactly. I want you to be more obtuse. I mean, it's not often I say that about a movie.
I know.
But I am saying that about Fight or Flight.
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
All right. Well, with all of that said, speaking of our first review this week on Becoming a Guinea Fowl, that was a really fun conversation. That is available. Go and check that out. Episode 636. We talk about our top 5 actor comebacks inspired by Josh Hartnett in this new era that he is in. That was a really fun conversation. You can go and check that out. And I think that is it. Am I forgetting anything, Brendan?
I don't think so, other than just once again echoing for those listening, go see On Becoming a Guinea Fowl.
Yeah. Yeah. That is
Good.
available for you to rent right now. So you can go and rent that on Amazon Video or however you want to rent your films. So go give that one a go. Fight or Flight, I think, is still in theaters. So if you want to see it, head on down to your local cinema.
There you go.
It should be there for another week or two. Until
before it just goes straight
Impossible
to Netflix.
comes out. Until it goes, yeah, exactly.
It kind of feels
It
like
does-
a Netflix movie.
It does feel like a straight to Redbox kind of movie.
It really does. It really does. It feels like a higher budget value Red Notice in some ways.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no doubt this will end up on Netflix within 2 weeks' time.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's absolutely my guess. Okay, well, with all of that said, thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for watching. I also want to note bonus content. We had, our VIP bonus content dropped this week as well, where Brendan and we talk about our updated Mission Impossible rankings. That was a really fun conversation. I enjoyed the hell out of that. So if you want access to that, sign up on Patreon, patreon.com/InSessionFilm, Apple Podcast subscriptions, or YouTube membership. Either way, either of those avenues, you'll get access to all of our bonus content, including this week's episode. So go and give that one a listen as well.
Yep.
Okay, with all of that said, thanks everyone for watching, being with us this week. We will see you next time on the In Session Film Podcast. Josh Hartnett rules though. Love him. He's in.
Now we can see him again. He's so good.